All right, let's bring in our guy, Clarence Hill. He's been covering the Cowboys for a long, long time. He knows the organization inside and out. He's been along for the Jerry Jones ride. What's up, Clarence? Doing a great job with DLLS. Thanks for jumping on with us.
How you guys doing, man? I'm, trying to get my bearings straight so I can head to Chi-Town, the Windy City. I've been having a little fun on Twitter. I don't want lasagna pizza. Okay, I don't want that deep dish pizza you got to eat with a spoon. Okay, I just like regular pizza. I'm sorry.
Oh no, we got takes on this, Johnsy. Why don't you fill him in on what he needs to do?
You need, thin crust, tavern style. Now it's not cut in triangles, but it's cut in squares. You might get a triangle in the corner a little bit, but there's a place if you're staying in the city called Salerno's on Grand, just west of downtown. So if you want real Chicago pizza, I suggest you try it out. You can get an RC Cola there too, Adam.
I was going to say, get the RC Cola and some Salerno's, and you're all set.
Tavern style is real Chicago pizza, not that soupy stuff.
I mean, they both are, but that's like our internal battle when Chicago fights Chicago. Little Cubs White Sox action. Is it deep dish? Is it tavern style? They're both good, but tavern style is the thin crust squares. That's what you want, Clarence. Especially if you don't want the deep dish, which is perfectly fine take. Then go for the tavern.
Like style. Friday night is pizza night in Chicago. Yeah. I feel like everyone orders pizza on nights like this, and we're gonna get tavern style pizza later today. That's the plan.
There you go. Fair enough.
I like this though because I remember going down to Dallas and I'm like, I got to get barbecue. This is what you do.
You got to do what you got to do.
All right, Clarence, tell us about. Let's start with our guy Matt Eberflus, okay? Because I'm curious on this. What was? I know the fan base as a whole was a little bit just like, what is going on when they hire Brian Schottenheimer? What was the take? What was the temperature of the fan base when Matt Eberflus was hired as the defensive coordinator? And how are they feeling right now through 2 games where the Cowboys, much like the Bears, haven't been able to get many stops?
I don't think there was much of a temperature on Eberflus. It was more about Schottenheimer, and there was so much shock and awe with the decision on Schottenheimer because, nobody else was going to hire him. And even, Jerry called it a ho-hum hire, so to speak. And, and so I don't really think people really thought about Eberflus, and, again, Eberflus has been here before, He's done the he's the Rob Marinelli starter kid. I mean, the philosophies are the same. And, it's funny that I remember when they were frustrated with the Rob Marinelli defense and, we need to get that out of here and get something else and more exotic and where you do more things and everything like that. And when they brought Eberflus back, no one really thought about that. They just really were focused on Shoddy and the people who were hiring and the offensive guys and you got a lot of college coaches and different things like that on offense and nobody really thought about Eberflus until now.
He's coming back. He's coming back to Chicago. He's coming back with you.
He's coming back to Chicago, but I mean, it's like this defense. He doesn't do much. He runs the same. They've been in zone 99% of the time. They rush 4. They don't do much, and I really believe, and we've been talking about this at DLS, but there's no way Eberflus took this job not thinking he was going to have Micah Parsons to help his pass rush. I mean, because what he does, he rushes 4. Well, to rush 4, I got this generational pass rush over here. That's going to make my unit work. That's going to help my zone and things I do in the back end. They're running these lies down here at the front office, running these lies that it was unanimous. We all wanted to get rid of Micah Parsons. There's no way Eberflus wanted to get rid of Micah Parsons. No freaking way he wanted to part ways with, one of the best pass rushers, not the best pass rusher in the NFL to make his defense go. And we're seeing the fruits of that. I mean, they don't get the quarterback and they're struggling on the back end. And there was, it was a mess last week against the Giants where Russell Wilson looked like, the Russell Wilson of old, and just throwing moon balls and touchdowns and just running by folks and the communication issues in the back end, and then not even getting to the quarterback on the front end. It was a mess. And so I wonder what we're going to get this weekend. I was saying earlier, it's the movable object versus the resistible force on both defenses. You know, neither defense can stop a nosebleed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the personnel. We're going to get to Micah Parsons, I guess, in a little bit. But, so what I'm hearing is Matt Eberflus doesn't have really the personnel to run a Rod Marinelli-like defense at the moment, does he?
I don't think so. You know, if you're just going to rush forward and get to the quarterback, you need a badass pass rusher, right?
You do.
That's what you need. And so they've went on and gotten Jadeveon Clowney to help now, you know, as a pass rusher. But, you know, he's a good defensive end. He's an all-around defensive end. He can stop the run and rush the pass, but he's not a difference-making pass rusher. He's never been that. That's probably the disappointment of him being a number 1 overall pick, and everybody thought he was going to be, you know, Micah Parsons and have those type of impacts. He's not done that, but he's a solid veteran and he's going to help and add to the mix. You know, we talked to Eberflus on yesterday and he said, yeah, pass rusher, give me as many of those like you can. Well, you had one. Okay. You had one. Y'all got rid of him. But yeah, so that's pretty much the issue. You know, outside of the cornerbacks are man-to-man corners. Trevon Diggs is a man-to-man corner. You ask him to play zone. He's never played zone. He doesn't play zone. They don't, you know, you got a man, you know, that's what they're used to. That's what they've done. And so you're asking your players to do things that are really not their skill set, outside of their skill set. You know, and that's the frustrating thing. You guys covering the league a long time is that coaches got to be able to change and adapt to the players. Players should always have to adapt to the coaches. I mean, I know this is your tent pole philosophy, but you don't have zone corners. You got man corners.
Yeah, no, and I could tell the Cowboys are going through that a little bit. Even when the few times they have blitz, it's looked pretty good, and then but then he just doesn't do it a lot because he just doesn't do it, and so that's been interesting. What do you make though about sort of the chess match and all this in terms of and both? I know, you know, Ben Johnson commented on this earlier in the week. Flus obviously has his opinions on Caleb Williams. He has his ideas of you know, what his weaknesses might be, what his strengths might be, and a little bit of an intimate look at, you know, how he can attack them or maybe more likely not attack them. This week, on the other hand, I thought Ben Johnson made a pretty good point. Hey, we got coaches in this building that know Matt Eberflus that literally helped him prepare to face me last year. In, you know, when Ben was in Detroit, obviously. So I find all that really interesting. I don't know how much it's actually going to matter on Sunday. What do you make of all that?
I mean, I think that, yeah, Ben and Eberflus faced each other in Detroit and Chicago, so they know each other. And I think Detroit had the upper hand during those matchups. And I don't know if Ben has the same personnel in Chicago they had in Detroit, but, you know, it's a little different. But, you know, the mindsets, everybody understands the mindsets of what they want to do. And the wild card is Caleb. You know, Caleb. You know, I think that's the biggest wild card. You know, what you going to get? The consistency, you know, is he going to bail out? Is he going to, you know, make the plays, you know? And you look at his time to throw, and, you know, obviously he scrambles to scramble, and you know, when that play looks like a generational talent, like that's why we signed that guy, or that's why we drafted that guy at number 1. And next play, what are you doing? You know, and I really think that he's the wild card with all of it. You can, you know, yes, they know each other, and as much as what Ben wants to do, can he really do what he wants to do and really look like the genius that he was in Detroit when Caleb's the wild card?
The Bears this week, well, speaking of the other quarterback, like they've spent some time this week talking up Dak Prescott as one of the best quarterbacks in this league. Got to get after him, can't give him time. They've mentioned how he uses his cadence, like everything that he does. Who is Dak Prescott, I guess, at this point in his career? I know he's got a couple good receivers, but maybe take us through it.
He got a couple of great receivers.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
good receivers. You know, it's always funny to me. We know Dak Prescott's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. He's been that way, and he gets so much. He's very underrated in that respect. And and he does a lot at the line. It's funny because down here people are like, well, because there are a lot of Dak Prescott haters and people because of his playoff success, playoff record, and people don't respect the player and the numbers he's put up and the things he does at the line. Because a lot of quarterbacks that come into the league, and we got the new shiny kid on the block. C.J. Stroud a couple of years ago. Now you got in Washington. And they make plays. They're great quarterbacks in a sense of what they're asked, but they're not asked to do what Dak is asked to do at the line. And with Dak, if you talk to a lot of quarterbacks, the Peyton Mannings, they respect what Dak is asked to do. Not just throw the ball, but make the calls and make the change, how he moves, manipulates defense and things like that the other quarterbacks are not asked to do. And so we get all excited about their playmaking skills, but just talk about playing the position of quarterback. And Dak, we talked to him yesterday. I got a story up on DLLS. He's, as confident, as comfortable as ever. Certainly, it's just 2 games in the season, but he's playing as well as he's ever played. And now he got the quarterback run back in his game. He's healthy again. He's been accurate. You look at his third down. I mean, he's completing 75% of his throws on third down this season. And I always say the mark of a quarterback is what you're doing on third down. Are you converting on third down? Everybody's first and second down is one thing, but are you converting and moving the chains on third down? And Dak Prescott is moving the chains like nobody's business on third down right now. 75%, 15 or 20 on third down right now. That's crazy talk. And then you add in the receiver with CD and George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in the game. And we know George Pickens from Pittsburgh coming here, trying to really have a big season. We get paid in the off season. They fit so well together. And then you got Kevontae Turpin and the tight end Jake Ferguson. I think he's leading all tight ends and receptions right now through the first 2 weeks in the middle of the field. So, that offense is cooking right now. You just watch, going back to the Eagles game, Dak made perfect throws. That game the Cowboys should have upset the Eagles in week 1 if CD, we talked about, doesn't drop 4 passes and 2 on the final drive. And then you look last week against the Giants in fourth quarter and overtime, Dak was amazing. So he's playing well. He's playing out of his mind. He's, comfortable with Shoddy, calling the play. Shoddy was there with Mike McCarthy. Remember 2 years ago under Mike McCarthy, when Shoddy was offensive coordinator, Dak was second in MVP balloting. He led the league in passing yards. He led the league in passing touchdowns. That's who he is. And and when Dak is healthy, this offense is routinely put up big numbers.
So is Shoddy winning over the fan base here a little bit with 1-1 with should have beat the Eagles, number 7 offense in EPA, I think so far. And Javonte Williams is, I believe, the number 1 EPA running back through 2 weeks. It seems like it's going pretty well.
Going well. And Shoddy's great at the podium. He's great with the media. And so I think that's part of it. But again, we're 2 weeks in, and there are tough games to come, and I think they start now. Because the Cowboys have a murderous road toward the end of the season. With middle of the season, they got the Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, and Vikings. But I thought the Vikings were going to be tough. We don't really know who's going to have a quarterback. They got 4 straight games, but this is like allegedly their salad time. You're gonna eat. You got to eat right now, but they're on the road. You got the Bears, then you got the Packers, then you got at the Jets and at Carolina. And you need to get off to a good start because the game's gonna get tough later. This is to me a game you have to win. And you have to beat a Bears team rebuilding on the road. I know it's on the road, but this is a game you have to win because you do have Green Bay next week, and things can get off kilter quick, because they do have their own challenges. But Shoddy's started well. He's won over the fan base with and some of the media with his press conferences, and you talk about Javonte Williams starting good. He's running to light boxes because of the receivers. You look at it, he's running. He's a strong, good, solid running back, strong, hard to bring down. He runs tough, but he runs against a lot of light boxes because you have to double outside.
Clarence, kind of a big picture question here. So I'm on my 3rd general manager for the Bears, my 2nd team president. God knows how many coaches. We have a running backs joke, a running backs joke that we've probably covered. Adam, how many? 25 different running backs coaches.
Feels like it. Yeah.
What's it like covering an organization where the owner is the GM?
Have you watched the movie, the Netflix show yet?
Not yet.
I got through episode 1 the other. I'm about halfway through episode 2.
Watch the whole thing. I was, we had Adam on yesterday, and I was joking. I don't know if were you on there? And I was joking that Jerry may be a better GM than Poles, right?
Yeah.
Considering the success you guys have had, maybe the only to stop with, hey, the Cowboys got a better GM. It's interesting, but Jerry keeps it going. I mean, it's not just the football stuff; it's the off the field stuff. He admits that he creates soap operas. He creates things to get people to talk about. Whether it's whether it's the contract situations and making them public and doing on the just the Micah thing and going on all these TV shows to talk about that and podcasts. I mean he went on a tour, talking about, he was on Good Morning America, Stephen A. Shannon Sharp. He was everywhere talking about the Micah thing and creating this narrative and he wants people to talk about the Cowboys. I remember Dak's rookie year. 4th round pick, just become quarterback. They're hot. They've already decided we're moving on from Tony Romo. The coaches, the players, this is Dak's team. Jerry will come in after games late in the season that's getting ready for the playoffs. You got a rookie quarterback and say, I dream of Tony Romo leading us to the Super Bowl. So he could be on sports. So people talk about, hey, I know Dak is hot, but could Tony Romo be coming back? And it's already been decided. Do you think your rookie quarterback needs to hear that heading into the playoffs for the first time going against Aaron Rodgers?
No. But
these are the things that he's done and does and creates to keep people talking about the Cowboys. He wants them on First Take. He wants them on SportsCenter. He wants people going live to him after every game. We're rushing to hear what Jerry says after the game. You have to make a decision. Are you going to talk to the head coach or are you going to talk to the owner, GM? After the game, they're talking at the same time.
That's crazy. And that says that's totally foreign to us. Like the idea that the owner / GM's talking after the game every single week. You know what? I'll say this. He obviously does a lot of things to make your head, scratch your head. At least he's open and honest about it. I can respect that. He's not hiding what he's doing, and he's not running away from the media at any point. There's so many other organizations where you don't hear from the GM half the season or, at all during the season. You don't hear from the owner during the season. So I don't know if it's necessarily good or bad for the Cowboys, but, at least he owns it, and I can respect that.
He owns the drama.
Yeah.
But he also says, just because I said it don't make it so.
That's up to you to figure out.
Yeah. Right. So he owns the drama, but then you write the drama and write what he says, and that's not what's happening, because just because I said it don't make it so. So he does have that as well.
It's crazy.
I'll say this. He knows how to draft offensive linemen. We're covering a team that has had no clue for years in terms of
That's Will McClay.
Okay.
So he's got guys he trusts, and as long as the results are there, they seem to draft pretty well.
No, they've had success with offensive linemen. Tyler Smith is the next great one. We'll see, if Tyler got left tackle pans out. He struggled as a rookie last year because they kind of forced him, a guy that played right tackle in college and only played 2 years of offensive line in college, and they made him their left tackle, and he's a fighter. He's getting better, but yeah, Tyler Smith, and then they drafted Tyler Book out of Alabama, who's going to be a great right guard as well.
So, all right, let's get to the point. Who do you think's going to win? This just seems like one of those games where the Cowboys feel like they should win, the Bears feel like they should win, fan bases all think their team should win. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, tell me how it's going to be windy.
There's a
I know
chance
it's a windy city. What is it? Wind is going to be windy coming off of that.
There's some storms kind of in the area. They might be
There's
before or
rain a
after the
little
game.
bit, right?
Yeah. I'm not too really worried
Well,
about
the
the
only reason I
weather.
asked about the wind is because the Cowboys got that kicker in their back pocket they really like, and I don't know how that would affect the field goals late in games and which one a game they have a really good kicker. But my take
Clarence. It says only 5 to 10 mile an hour winds.
Oh, so that's not that bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as I said, movable force, resistible object. I think both offenses should eat. I do trust Dak to make plays and be consistent more than Caleb, and I think that's the difference. Which Caleb we're going to get, but I think that Roma Dunze and DJ can make plays against the Cowboys secondary. But where we're going to get a quarterback, and is he going to be consistent to win a shootout? And I think it certainly could be a high-scoring game, shootout type game, and I think I trust Dak more than I trust Caleb.
That's fair. Clarence Hill from DLLS. We'll be following along. We'll see you here in Chicago. Get that pizza. All right.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
See you Sunday.